Well, we made it through another day, day 45. Wasn't without its consequences, though. We've actually been taking pretty heavy losses here lately. Of course, that's why I've got the street sweeper out here. I've been trying to stay more alert, stay more aware, and just, looking at everything like it could be stolen at night while you're sleeping. So we've had people going round the clock, guarding our water and what's left of our livestock. Of course, Jim and his gang, they didn't let up. They knew that we had food down here. I mean, hell, you can hear my roosters crowing every morning, or my rooster now. We lost one. Don't know what happened. I assume Jim or somebody else stole him and took off with him. We did see some evidence later, some feathers and stuff where someone had cleaned it, but I have no idea what happened to it. So yeah, since then it's been even less sleep, because the advantage that Jim and his gang have is they have a whole bunch of people down there. Last time I checked, it was about 20 plus people that are allied with Jim and his gang of thieves. And I'm hearing other stuff too. It's not just murder and theft. They're taking sex slaves. We've seen some young girls being taken in there, and this is just not gonna fly. Most of the people in my group down here are Christian based. Even if they're not Bible thumpers, they were raised on Christian values, the 10 Commandments, stuff like that. And down the road, down there at Jim's place, it seems to be pure hedonism, pure evil, whatever, makes you feel good at the moment. All kinds of drugs, all kinds of stuff have been going on down there. And we're going to have to deal with them one way or the other. Sooner or later, we're going to have to deal with them. And so last night, as I settled in and was preparing myself to have a meal, I heard a ruckus out by the chicken coop, and I grabbed my shotgun here and ran outside, and sure enough, there was someone trying to grab one of my chickens. So you can't call the police. There are no police. There's no law enforcement or anybody to come protect you or save you from anything like that. So I viewed that as a threat to my family, because that's part of our plan for survival. So I dealt with them accordingly, and that's why I'm down to only 4 shells left here, at least in this load. I've got some more in the house, and I need to go in there and get those ready. But I wanted to give it a quick clean up and just have my mindset right for tonight, because I know that every time we eliminate a threat coming from that end of the neighborhood, they're going to send 2 more in their place. So looks like I've got 4 slugs here. Or actually, no, 3 slugs and a what is that, double-aught buck? Yeah, double-aught buck. We'll put that up front and make sure it's on safe. It is. We'll be ready for whatever comes next. I'll go grab a little more ammo from the house too. But yeah, everyone in the neighborhood now has to pretty much carry a gun anywhere they go and be prepared for whatever might come. At first, I didn't bring anything like this out because, I wasn't trying to be a threat or intimidating to anyone else. But now I don't leave home without this or my AR. Either one is pretty good for patrolling my neighborhood. I give the slight advantage to this just because my neighborhood is fairly small, and I don't have a lot of big areas to cover. So usually any shots that I may be taking are going to be under, 70, 80 yards is the longest shot that I'd be taking. And this thing with slugs is perfectly capable out to 100 yards. I can at least hit, a large target like a pie plate or something like that with it. So I've been carrying this mostly and leaving my wife at home, on heavy defense with the AR-15. And we've done some stuff here around our house to try to mitigate, encroachment, to try to stop Jim and his people from coming in here. Some of the simple things we've done is we've taken some 2x4s that we had around, and I put some really long nails in them, and I put them in all the places where I think people might be trying to come over the fence or come through the gates and things like that, and just laid them out on and staked them into the ground so that the nails are sticking up. That way, if anyone comes through and they step on one of those, they'll probably scream out, and that'll alert me or alert my dog, and then I will get my my street sweeper here and we'll take care of business. But that's what it's come down to. One good thing, now that a little more time has gone by, is many of my neighbors, the more responsible ones, again, the ones that were more Christian based and patriot minded, we have formed a more stable alliance down here. I don't want to say that it's perfect, because it's not. We've got some weak links in our group here, but we've been, I don't know, I guess after about week 4, people started kind of realizing that, this power is not going to come back on and we can't count on the government. So they started, being more proactive and less, some of them became less panicky and less frightened about the whole situation. And they're just preparing, for whatever they can do to help out, to be a part of the group. So that's been great. I've had some people come over and help guard my water and help guard my animals and livestock and stuff. And of course, the problem with that is that, I have to share some of that stuff with them if they're going to help me out. And so far, that hasn't been a huge problem. One thing that is a problem is we're rapidly running out of livestock feed. I've got enough rabbit feed left for maybe the rest of the month, so another couple of weeks of rabbit food left, and then I'm just going to have to feed them whatever grass is still green enough around my place here. And we're going into winter, so it's getting colder, and that means the grass is going dormant. So I'm getting a little nervous that as we're cycling through our rabbits, we had several. We had like 15 rabbits before the power went out, and I still want to keep my 3 breeding stock. So my 2 does and my 1 buck, I don't want to eat them under any circumstances, because that's the future of my protein source for my family. So we have been harvesting some rabbits and trying to eat them sparingly, but we've probably had, I would say at this point, 45 days in, we've had at least 3 rabbits. We've eaten 3, and someone stole a couple of them. So yeah, we're going through the rabbits faster than I thought. We're going through the feed faster than I thought. And of course, I didn't plan on getting caught like we did with the power going out and the grid going down completely. And, I didn't have a big stockpile of feed built up. If I could go back in time, I would have bought a lot more, animal feed, because I've got the rabbits to take care of, the chickens, and the quail. Now, luckily, I had more quail food than anything else, but my rabbit and my chicken feed is disappearing rapidly, and I've already had to cut them down. I'm not giving them as much as I was before the grid went down, so I can tell they're always hungry, and I've got to figure out a way to get more rabbit feed to where I can stockpile it. I know there was a feed store down the road, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to go out on a mission, maybe scout around a bit and get out of here through the back side of the neighborhood, because Jim still controls the inlet of the neighborhood. So what we've been doing is going through the back here, where the neighbors behind us are relatively friendly. We've done a little trading and helped each other out. One of the things that I've been trying to do is, instead of, it's sort of the teach a man to fish philosophy versus just giving my stuff away, because giving my stuff away, yields no benefit to me other than it creates leeches that want to constantly get more and more free stuff, right? So what I've been trying to do is empower other people by teaching them things. You know, I've got lots of books on survival and different things, and I've been, you know, handwriting instructions on how to purify water, how to set up a basic water still so these people can go down to the pond down here rather than having to trade me for gasoline or stuff like that, right? Because I said, you know, in the past, I've been trading 5 gallons of water for 1 gallon of gasoline. And, you know, some people in the neighborhood were belly aching about that. And I'm like, look, man, I've got to run the generator. And if you want more water in the future, that means you need to contribute in some way. And if you don't want to pay with gasoline, then you can come around here and keep guard, or you can, you know, there's other things you can do. But, you know, don't complain to me that this is the new way of the world. You know, this is the way of this new, I guess, Mad Max existence that we all find ourselves in now. Gasoline is more valuable than gold because everyone wants it and no one can get it. And so we have been devising some schemes to try to get more gasoline. One of the guys in the neighborhood here that's friendly to our group, he says that he has a certain kind of pump and knows how to access the actual tanks under the gas stations. So we're going to attempt to do that with a hand pump. It's like a big barrel pump and you just crank the handle. And he says that we can get the thing primed up and we'll be able to go down to this gas station. And even though there's no power, we'll be able to open up those fill ports. And the way he described it to me was we would drop a hose and then prime the hose. And like, you know, because we're going to have to prime it with water or gasoline or something, that first little bit won't be any good. So we'll have to spill that out on the ground. But then once it turns to pure gas, we could sit there and pump as long as our arms work. And that gas is still good. You know, it's only been 45 days. So even ethanol gas is still good down in that tank in the ground. So we're going to try to get that. Another thing that occurred to me recently that I hadn't even really considered, but my tractor. I haven't been running my tractor at all because, you know, it's post collapse. There's no dirt work that I really need to do per se, but I did run it around a little bit earlier because I have diesel in that tractor, and it lasts pretty much forever. And I've got a couple of more 5-gallon containers of diesel, so I've got a fairly good supply. And it just occurred to me earlier, I was like, hey, I could use this to help us take care of barricades and build, you know, if nothing else, stronger barricades to where, you know, Jim and his people will have a harder time getting in. They won't be able to just walk right down the road and get here. We do have a couple of trucks out there blocking, but I'm talking about big dirt piles and metal, scrap metal, all kinds of stuff, whatever we can get. I've got some coils of not razor wire, but barbed wire. And I figured we would just roll it out like Constantina wire around the top of the perimeter that we're going to build. And yeah, we're blocking ourselves back here, but the good news is my neighbors back behind me here are allowing me not only to come through their neighborhood and use their road and get out, but I can ride a motorcycle through there. Now, I can't get a full-size vehicle, but I still have my XL 250R, I believe is what it is, the little Honda 250. And it's got a little rack on the back, and it's not easy, but I can go out with a 5-gallon can and my siphoning hose, and I can find, you know, broke down cars on the sides of the roads and different things like that. We've been able to scavenge a few supplies coming out from that direction, but it would be a lot better if we could take care of what's going on up at the front of the neighborhood. And we do have a plan for that. It's just going to take some time, and it's going to take a lot of people in my neighborhood. They're going to have to see how horrific Jim and his gang are carrying on before they're going to be willing to actually do anything about it. That's the problem. You know, I've got a lot of people back here that, you know, they grew up on the 10 Commandments and stuff, and thou shalt not kill, and they think that, you know, they shouldn't be the one to pass judgment on Jim and his people. So there's been a lot of debate back here. A lot of people are just... They've lost that American spirit, you know, what made our country great, you know, about not taking shit from anybody and, you know, not allowing a bully to come in and dictate how you're going to be. A lot of these people, you know, they've been drunk on comfort for so long that they've lost that American spirit. And so I think as they see more and more horrific things, as their homes are broken into more and more, as their loved ones are taken away from them, then they'll come around and we'll be able to mount some sort of a resistance and hopefully take that part of the neighborhood back, because that's what really needs to happen. We need to have full control. The good guys, as I'm calling us, we need to have full control of what's going on back here and not be attacked constantly by, just people wanting to steal petty stuff from you. And the worst part about it is like when they stole those couple of rabbits from me. We found scraps later on where they had cleaned them. They cleaned them incorrectly. They wasted so much meat. It just made my stomach churn. I couldn't believe it. And, all they'd had to do was offer some sort of barter. If they'd have said, hey, I've got 5 gallons of gasoline here or something like that, or diesel or whatever, if they'd have said anything, we would have probably willingly, traded them those rabbits, and they wouldn't even had to clean them. I'd have cleaned them and everything, and they'd have been good to go. But instead, they decided to steal from my family and my future and my livelihood. So I take that as a direct threat to my survival. And in that situation, you have no choice but to, it's you or them at that point. So I didn't make it this way, but it's the way of the world, as far as I know, since the beginning of time. So on some fronts, we're doing well. We're still eating meat because of the rabbits, and I've had to clean and kill some chickens because my chickens just aren't laying anymore, probably because I'm not giving them the appropriate amount of feed. So, yeah, I would imagine in the next few weeks, we'll probably be out of the chicken business completely, and I'll be trying to redouble my efforts on getting down to that feed store. And hopefully people haven't cleaned out the feed store. I wouldn't imagine that they would have gone for that place like they did the grocery stores and the gas stations and stuff like that. But you never know. There are other people out there that are, raising livestock as well. So I just hope I can find enough to get us through winter. And then, come spring, we'll be able to plant appropriate plants that the rabbits will be able to consume and keep them alive. But yeah, these are all things that I'm sure a lot of us are thinking about. The quail have been really easy. They require the least amount of feed, the least amount of water, and honestly, they're the easiest to clean. When it's time to cull them and clean them, it's really quick and easy. You can do it with relatively little mess and very little clean water input for cleaning up the mess afterwards. So that's been great. Need to get on the program and figure out a way. What I need to do now is figure out a way that I can run my incubator on my inverter, on my solar setup that I have. And it's not a very fancy solar setup. It's basically one marine battery and a 750 watt inverter. And I have a little solar panel, Harbor Freight solar panel kit to charge it up. And that's been great, but it's limited. I can't run a refrigerator. So that means all of our stuff that we had in the freezer, all the stuff we had in the fridge, we consumed it up in the first couple of weeks because it was just going bad in the freezer and the fridge. We couldn't keep enough power going via the generator to keep the fridge and the freezer stuff from spoiling. So that was tragic because that was part of our plan. But we ate like kings there for a little bit right in the beginning because we had to use it or lose it. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have gone through the same thing. Unreal how quickly our civilization has just devolved to the 1850s. It's just unreal. So it's time for me to get back out here and do my next patrol, make sure that no one's trying to steal my water or my livestock, and just look around, make sure no one's trying to get into the rest of my supplies. A lot more death than I looked at, than I thought we would be facing. A lot more death, a lot more people just willing to kill each other over the smallest things. And so, good luck to you. God bless you.